Get ready for a love fest. Welcome to the Lover List, your source for the best love, dating, and relationship stories from the Reddit community. Like, comment, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you're ready to fall in love with our videos. Do women get turned off by men who talk about their feelings? Basically, the question is in the title. Would appreciate a woman's thoughts on this. Men as well equally share your thoughts. Take everything you hear here with a grain of salt. Some women are happy with you opening up. Some women want you to only open up on their terms. Some women don't want you to be vulnerable at all. Women aren't a monolith. Everyone is different and has different experiences which form their distinct desires. My advice is to be careful with who you open up to. Think of it like someone seeing you naked. Be modest and keep it to yourself until they give you a reason to trust them. Beyond that, if someone is offended or turned off by you being vulnerable, then you learn more about them than they do about you. They aren't for you. This is so true. It's really important to learn more about the person first before you open up to them completely. Maybe start with sharing a small thing about yourself, something that wouldn't bother you if the whole world knew, and see how she takes it. If she reacts negatively, judges you for it, makes a weird face, tells others, then I wouldn't feel too comfortable sharing my emotions with someone like that. Immature women may get turned off by men who talk about their feelings. Unfortunately, this is the best post I've seen in a long time. Shows how f***ed up so many views are on showing basic emotions. There's women who will get turned if a guy shows feelings, sure, but the reasons matter a whole lot. If she thinks guys shouldn't be vulnerable, leave her. If you are pouring your heart out too early on, consider not coming off too strong. Emotions are intense. Intensity is scary and unpredictable, so people run away, which is understandable. So ultimately, be vulnerable while taking into account the situation. I genuinely think that most guys are discouraged from showing feelings because they can't express themselves properly at all. So when it comes to a head, they say shit they don't mean, say shit when or where it doesn't work. Expressing yourself is a skill, which only gets better by doing it a lot. Your feelings are valid and are worth expressing. Never doubt that, my guy. And too much, too early is a thing. I watched something recently on vulnerability that was fascinating. The whole thing would be helpful for OP, or anyone, to watch. The part that's coming to mind is a bit towards the end. She has already extolled the benefits of being vulnerable, and then presents that being truly vulnerable requires being careful with it. I forget the better word she used. One shouldn't be ready to emotionally dump everything at the drop of a hat, or in order to gain someone's trust or feelings. My take is that that's just selfish at best, and probably manipulative. If you take time to establish trust with someone through shared conversation and experiences, it won't be unusual to express emotions and deeper feelings with them. By then, you should have a better gauge on whether this is someone that you can trust with that level of expression, or if they are someone to keep at arm's length. Can't remember the speaker in the video, but it was on Netflix, and it's probably easy to find her name if you search for her TEDx talk on vulnerability. I get turned on by emotional maturity and respecting general boundaries, by not trauma dumping or treating me like a therapist just because I'm a good listener. Being self-aware and speaking about themselves and how they feel with authenticity and integrity is a huge turn on. I'm surprised that the very first comment I see addresses the very first nuance that came to mind. Always a time and place to talk about certain things. If any woman tells you that your feelings are a turnoff, you are swimming in a bowl of marinara sauce. Get the heck away from her and find someone less emotionally manipulative and more caring. Since you said men as well, let me put it this way. I'm incredibly picky with women, and in the relationships I've been in so far, the answer has been no, with the caveat that you shouldn't be dumping massive emotional problems to women on the first and second date or anything. Either side should be able to gradually open up about anything without fear of rejection simply for opening up. Any woman that's so paranoid about becoming a therapist in a mutually supportive relationship that she disagrees with that statement doesn't deserve emotional intimacy herself. As a bi guy, if I wind up in a relationship with a guy or girl that turns out to need a therapist, I will help them find one and continue to talk with them about stuff in between sessions. That's what a partner in life does. Absolutely not. I think the only way I can really connect and fall in love with someone is when we have deep emotional conversations. If we have those conversations, I'm locked in LOL. Some do. It depends on the specific person and context, what type of feelings and the way that they are being expressed. If talking includes obsessing over being dumped /2 times financially exploited in X, aggression, trauma dumping, very disturbing feelings and thoughts or constant petty complaining that gives the impression of immaturity and nagging, plenty of women would be turned off, as would guys if the roles were reversed. For me, it's the opposite. I'm turned off by guys who refuse to show feelings. It gets pretty annoying, especially when I'm expressing myself. Agreed. This one guy I was talking to, his behavior was like he couldn't give two shits. And maybe he really didn't, but if that wasn't the case, he did such a good job at pretending that in the end he pushed me away. And I'm pretty guarded myself, so I get it, but he even had me beat. I'm very happy when my boyfriend opens up to me. It shows trust and that he's comfortable being vulnerable with me. The display of utter trust and open communication makes me fall more in love with him. But I am also a person who thinks traditional masculinity is dumb. I don't want a big tough man who will provide and protect me. I want a partner who views me as an equal and trusts me fully. I want someone who is comfortable being themselves around me. And of course, not all women want the same thing as me. It's about finding someone who embraces who you are and wants you to be who you are. No, I would appreciate the vulnerability. That said, make sure you also listen to and give the other person the same space. I've had some men who open up, but then talk about their problems for hours and hours. And at that point it becomes a bit like you are their therapist, instead of that you two mutually listening to each other's problems. The best relationship is one where both parties equally have space to express themselves. From my experience, absolutely. They say they want dudes that express their emotions and whatnot, but when you really do, they no longer see you as strong or the support they need. It's similar how they want someone to do stuff with, but you can't be too available or they see you as desperate. Again, my experience. I don't give a singular FK what any girl on here says. As a guy who gets girls regularly, as in I don't have to try too hard at all. Do not talk about your feelings until you are in a committed relationship. Edit doesn't mean be stone cold, just means don't sit there saying how you are so sad or upset about some things, or mention depression. True, women will swear otherwise, but the vast majority of women never want to see their man be emotional. Just go on social media and see how often women complain about emotional labor. You never see men complain about emotional labor. Never. Even though almost every man who's been in a relationship can attest to being treated as a part-time therapist. The reason why? It's because women crying is considered normal. Men see their girlfriend being emotional, and they think it's okay. Men, on the other hand, are expected to be strong and stoic, and so when women see their man crying and getting depressed, it's distressing. Only when they feel the same way in that very moment. Seriously, they would say otherwise, but a lot of dudes have gotten left over sharing feelings, but some dudes have gotten left over not caring enough. So it's really just in the moment type of thing. Think a lot of women here are illustrating a really funny double standard that exposes what they really think about men opening up to them. It's actually hilarious. So many of you are parroting the "we don't want to be your therapist, we don't want you to trauma dump." Which is funny because my personal experience is that women excessively trauma dump. I can tell you every single story or trauma, abuse, sexual assault, their history of mental health struggles. I could give you a PowerPoint presentation on their insecurities, their deepest fears, you name it, that women have opened up to me about. How many of you have trauma dumped quite a bit to partners and friends? Is this not the sort of info you tell your therapists using your own standards? And yet you have the nerve to come on here and saying, "Men, we aren't your therapist." You're literally snitching on yourselves, and I find that hilarious. Good point. I also could give one of those PowerPoints. Oh, to have $1 for every hour I've spent listening to women dissecting their problems. Very few wouldn't judge you for it. You have to vet the person you're dating well. Like very well. Some say they want men to open up, but probably very surface level. Don't let one thread blind you. In reality, they would probably be with a stoic men. Many times that shit gets thrown back in your face. Immaturity. Personal experience. Yes, my last girlfriend and only real serious relationship, I was very emotional and shared my feelings easily, and as time went on I stopped sharing my feelings as they would be used against me. I never wanted to be the kind of guy who shared feelings either. From the start I wanted to be the strong silent type, you know? I was pressured into sharing feelings, and it ultimately led in a downfall in our sexual experiences, as she didn't want to have it as often because she would not want to me while I was emotional, meaning I had shared my feelings when she asked me to for like a week. I agree that it depends on the woman, but my case just shows that she can seem like someone who wants to hear it and cares, but could just be asking because she thinks it's a social norm and then actually become less attracted to you over time because of it. It highly depends on how well we know each other. If it's one of the first dates and the guy gets super lovey-dovey and emotional on me, that's overwhelming. That's just too much too soon, and it makes me uncomfortable. However, if we're far along the dating phase, I really wish a guy can openly communicate his feelings with me. It's really frustrating with a guy who can't in that case, and I think being in touch with your emotions and expressing them in a healthy manner is important and attractive. One of my least popular opinions: while no position is 100%, overwhelmingly not. At least, not in my experience. I've been asked about it. I've been told to open up, and multiple times, once I said anything deeper than "I had a shitty day," their opinion of me changed. It emasculated me in their eyes. I was supposed to be tough. I was supposed to be about to protect, to secure. And if I cried, it meant I was weak and unable to do those things. I'm not saying there are no women who truly want you to open up. I am saying if you really like a woman, you had better make 100,000% sure she's one of them before you open all the way up. Because it takes one good cry to not be their rock anymore. I dated a man who hid his emotions, and it made it very difficult to even have a healthy, emotionally connected relationship. When I upset him or something was going on, it created an issue where he legitimately couldn't communicate about what was going on. It made it effectively so we were unable to have a healthy relationship because we could never work on anything. Not being able to talk about their feelings or emotions is a huge turn-off for me. All these women saying they like it and it's attractive don't actually like it. They like the idea of it, the fantasy, the fetish. They want to hear how great they make their partner feel and to inflate their own ego and self-worth. They don't want to help their partners through tough times, or help them out, or help them heal in some cases. They want men to listen to their problems, belly aching, whining, and the like, but won't lift a finger when the situation is reversed. I've watched the situation go down with friends on both sides, and only a few times have I seen women actually listen the way they expect to be listened to. And half of the time, they don't want to be doing it. This has been my experience as well. Women say they want a man to open up and express himself, but when we do, they lose all attraction and go cold. The current top commenter says that she wants men to open up to her, but that she is not a therapist or someone to trauma dump on. But what is the point of opening up if you can't actually open up? Women have told me that they've been raped, and I've listened and sympathized, because that's horrible and no one should ever have to go through that. But what is that if not trauma dumping? Conversely, women have gone cold when I'm told them far less extreme things that have happened to me. I don't know if women say this as a way to weed out the men who don't have their mental shit together, if they know that our culture teaches them that this is what they need to say and they want to appear virtuous, or if they genuinely don't know what they find attractive in men. There is a severe double standard at play here. And if men are supposed to be the stoic rocks so women can be the soft, emotional ones, so be it. I just wish they would stop pretending that they want something different. Another episode of relationship stories that are truly worth telling, and you got to be a part of it. If you enjoyed hearing these tales, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Turn on notifications too so you never miss an episode filled with tales that'll warm your heart.